All right, let's talk about this. I want to go over this video real quick because it's talking about how young Americans' preferences are shifting over AI fears. A lot has changed in the last 10 to 15 years, as you all know, unless you're living under a rock or out in the wilderness somewhere. But the way people are going about their careers, the way young people are thinking about college has been changing, and it's continuing to change. Now, this is talking about the Gen Zers. So Gen Zers are what, from 13 to about 28 years old. And these are people who are going to be entering, a lot of that generation, Gen Z, is going to be entering college in the next few years, or some are in college, or some are thinking about going to college, and things are changing now because AI has changed the job market. So I want to play this where they talk about trades versus college. Let me play this video.
So according to a new study, Gen Z is plagued by lingering fears that AI will take over the business world. And now they're looking to move from white-collar careers to blue-collar careers for job security. According to the study, 42% of the younger generation are working on securing a skilled trade job, like plumbing, welding, or electrical work. The chief career officer of Resume Builder says Gen Z is ditching white-collar careers for good reason, saying, quote, trade jobs offer hands-on work that is difficult to automate. Additionally, many grads find their degrees don't lead to careers in their field, prompting them to explore more practical, in-demand alternatives.
This is such an interesting thing to me. Now, I'm a Gen Xer, right? So I'm a little older, and I'm not surprised at this information because I saw this 20-something years ago. And a lot of people in the Gen X, in my age range, I think were questioning college. Some went to college, some didn't. Now, this isn't about whether to go to college or not going to college. I think it's about how people are seeing whether college is the right direction for them, because there was a time, back in the 90s, early 2000s, they told everybody needs to go to college. If you don't go to college, you're not going to earn a living. People with college degrees typically make higher money. Now, that was true, but it's evolving. So what's happening now is that things that were blue collar, that I think that in high school, they got rid of a lot of the trade programs and they made blue collar seem like something that was kind of secondary. It's like if you don't make it to college, or you're not intellectual, maybe you're going to go into something blue collar. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying that's how it was marketed. So now I think people are looking at it. Now, I think the reason why this has been coming up is because AI is changing everything, right? So a lot of jobs that people used to look, up to, white collar jobs, banking jobs, things like that. AI is going to take all of that. It's already have automated a lot of things over the last 10 years, and it's continuing to. So let's say things like the things that are most in danger, things like, anything customer service, operations. A lot of people in financial operations, back office stuff, a lot of things have been automated. So those jobs they're still there, but they're not as needed as they were. You know what I'm saying? Things like anything customer service, journalism, anything clerical is being taken over by AI and will be, you know what I'm saying? So these white collar jobs where you sit at a desk are not the be all end all anymore. So now people are starting to appreciate things that you can't replace, things that you got to put your hands on, things like HVAC, things like being an electrician, things like being a plumber, things that people didn't really glamorize before. You know what I'm saying? Anything mechanical. Now, AI is still taking a place in some of these things, but AI can't replace these things. So I'm gonna play this, but let's just talk about real quickly. Now, a lot of young men are saying, I'm ditching this idea of everybody got to go to college. Now, these are East Coast numbers. The average HVAC tech makes about $50,000 a year. On the upper end, we're talking $68,000, $70,000 a year. Electricians, for example, are in high demand. Electricians make 70 stacks a year. And plumbers it's another field that's so interesting because you cannot replace a plumber. When you have a water issue, out here in the East Coast, we have boilers. If you have a boiler issue, a water issue, or sewer issue, whatever it is, you got to call that plumber. You cannot automate that. Plumbers are making on the low end 65 stacks a year, and they're making a lot more, and the hours are crazy for all these jobs. So blue collar, I find it very interesting because I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of young men who or women that don't need to necessarily just go for some 4-degree college where they're barely making any money.
In your opinion, why do you think Gen Z is turning to trade jobs?
I think it's been an actually pretty recent shift, because I think I went to college myself. My husband also went to college and graduate school, but he actually did pursue a career in construction afterwards. So he is not usually using those degrees, but ironically, he finds his work now way more fulfilling than if he would have pursued a white-collar job. And I think the recent shift is because a lot of Gen Zers realized that, the narrative that we had been sold as children, that there's only one path for you, which is that you go to college, you get a degree, and you go into a white-collar field. It's just not realistic anymore. Number one, a lot of these young adults are having a very difficult time actually finding jobs in the white-collar workforce. And also, the purpose of education has changed so dramatically over the past several years that even if you believe that college is a good in and of itself, that it's a good thing to be able to go and study something that gives you meaning and purpose, most colleges don't offer that anymore. They're far more interested in indoctrinating students than they are actually in teaching them how to think for themselves. So there's really no deeper meaning to it anymore either. So young adults are looking elsewhere.
And Charlie, it seems to be part of a broader societal shift.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is, and what do you make of that shift?
Well, I think a lot of people are sort of realizing the limitations of things like the stupid iPhone and the AI stuff that everybody's predicting is going to take over all of our jobs, and starting to realize that, okay, these things are tremendously advantageous and they can help us with a lot of things, but you are always going to have electricians. You're always going to have plumbers. You're always going to have to, as we just saw with that speech that President Trump gave at Arlington Cemetery, you're always going to have fighters. You're going to have humans doing things and doing great things. Now, the AI can help them with that. The phone can help them with that. And you can do more with less and maybe more cheaply, but you're still going to need humans to do these things. And it's a great job. You can, if you decide to become a plumber, if you're 20 years old right now, you want to become a plumber, you want to become an electrician, you're going to make a boatload of money and make it very quick. And unlike if you go to college and you get out and you spend, all this time making $30,000 a year, you're starting out at like $60,000, $70,000 a year.
And that's what I was saying. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something to think about, because shout out to all my blue collar guys, the construction guys, the plumbers, the electricians. Shout out to all these guys, because a lot of them saw the light. And you got to understand that, again, it's not saying that you shouldn't go to college, but there are a lot of people that went to college, got a 4-year degree. I'm one of them. I went to college, got my 4-year degree. And, you got to keep in mind that, again, most people who come out with a 4-year degree on average are leaving with leaving with $30,000 of debt or more. So a lot of people are 50, 60, 70, in some cases $100,000 in debt from college. And if you are not educated in a particular field, or maybe you were 20, 30 years ago, but the job market is completely changed. So a lot of people are looking at college and saying, okay, is it the best investment for me? And Gen Z has seen the light. You know what I'm saying? So I think that this is a good thing for a lot of the young people going to school in the job market, because we can't just be sending millions of people to. It's great for the colleges, right? You get the tuition, and God knows how much student debt this country has from Pell Grants and so on. But great for the colleges, but not really great for the job force, because you have a lot of people who are educated, but not really skilled in anything in particular for the job market. Now, America has switched from, and it's been a long time coming, we switched from a manufacturing type of base or society to a service based, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem is everybody started going into service. Everybody's going to places where they're sitting at a computer tapping on something and servicing something, and again, there's only so much logistics you can have. There's only so much customer service you can have. There's only so many clerical positions you can have, and ultimately, as AI is able to automate this stuff, again, even these guys and gals here, or guy and gal, they're journalists, and even journalism in a lot of ways, content. It's AI has taken over a lot, and this is something to think about. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, have you seen this shift coming, or do you see it now, or have you seen it a long time ago? I know that it's something I've been seeing.